So class, this is a mass-to-mass problem. So what is a mass-to-mass problem? A mass-to-mass problem is in my simple A equals B formula for the equation. I start with the mass of A and I find out how much B is formed from the mass of A. Now we can't just go from straight mass of A to mass of B. You have to change into moles. So moles is like the equalizer. It's the thing that we can change everything into moles, and then from there we can change it from substance A to substance B, right? And then go on to do other things with moles and change it back to mass if we want to from moles. Because if you remember, you know how to do number one already. So this right here, change mass of A to moles of A. We know how to do that, okay? Change moles of A to moles of B is going to be the new thing. So this is the new part. Okay, and number three, when we go from moles of B back to mass of B, we know how to do that also because you did that for the intro to moles calculations. And I'm going to refresh your memory as we go through this. So let's take a look. So here's my problem. And the following problems calculate how much of the indicated product is made. Show all your work. So here we're going to go from lithium hydroxide to lithium bromide. I'm going to start off the same way that we did for all of these problems. I start off with grams. In this case, I want to make sure I make it obvious it's lithium hydroxide. I'm going to start that over 1 like that. Now I'm going to, for step number 1 in green, I'm going to change grams of lithium hydroxide to moles of lithium hydroxide, which means 1 mole of lithium hydroxide goes on the top like this. Okay? So that means that I have some number of grams of lithium hydroxide. So how do I know how many grams of lithium hydroxide I have per mole? Well, that's actually pretty simple. I got 1 times 6.9. This 6.9 is the atomic mass on the periodic table. The 1 is the subscript. Okay, so this is the same thing that we've done before. There's nothing new here. This is the same stuff that we learned a couple of days ago. So all I'm doing is taking the subscript times the atomic mass, gives me the total amount of mass for that element in the compound, 6.9, 16.0, and 1.0. And then I add them all up. So that would be, what is that, 23.9 grams per mole for lithium hydroxide. So that would be over here 23.9 grams, which means I'm going to divide the two. When I divide the two here, that gives me, getting my calculator, 10 divided by 23.9 gives me 0.418. Excuse me. And since I started with 3 significant figures, I have to have at least 3. And that's moles of lithium hydroxide. Okay, so that's my moles of A. Now, once I get that, I can now continue on to the next. I'm going to use blue for step number 2, and I need more room here. So let me pull this down. There we go. Next, I'm going to, let me go back up to there it is. So my next step is to change the moles of lithium hydroxide to moles of lithium bromide. Notice for this balanced equation that I didn't really talk about this yet, but it's 1's going all the way across. So here's what that means. It means I start off with 0.4, come on, don't mess with me here, guys. 0.418 moles of lithium hydroxide, okay? That's important that I can do that. Now I'm going to change that to moles of lithium bromide. It goes on top, and moles of lithium hydroxide goes on the bottom. And the reason why I did that is so that I can cancel moles of lithium hydroxide with moles of lithium hydroxide. Now, this part right here and this part right here is all about the coefficients that are in front of these compounds in the equation. And up here, we have a 1 for lithium bromide, and we have a 1 for lithium hydroxide. So those go down there. Those are just the coefficients. Okay? So that means that whatever I got here is going to be 0.418, but this time it's going to be lithium bromide instead of lithium hydroxide. Okay, my last step is going to be in red here, and it's going to be my third step, and now I'm going to go from, oops, I forgot to write moles down. So let me pull down a little bit longer here, a little bit further. There we go. And go back to blue, because here I should have moles. Okay, now we go to red. So now I'm starting off with 0.418 moles of lithium bromide. Okay, all of that's over 1 times, I know I have 1 mole on the bottom. Why do I have 1 mole on the bottom of lithium bromide? Because I want to cancel moles of lithium bromide with moles of lithium bromide. That means I have the number of grams of lithium bromide on top, like this, and I need to find out how much for lithium bromide. So I got 1 and 1 because LIBR has subscripts of 1. This is 6.9, and I believe this one is 79.9. Although I just want to take a look and check, 79.904. So yes, that's correct. So I simply add them up then, like this, 6.9, 79.9. That's going to give me a 0.8. That's going to give me an 8 here, and that's going to be, is it really, an 88.8. Okay, that's what it looks like, 88.8 there. So I take whatever number I got there times 88.8, and that's going to be 37.15. I guess I should round off to 37.2, and that's grams of lithium bromide, like that. 3 steps, okay? I know the steps look like it takes a long time. It really doesn't. I'm going to show you one way now. I'm going to get rid of this at the bottom, and I'm going to show you one way to do it all together, because just like you, I don't like busy work. So I start off with 10 grams of lithium hydroxide. I'm going to do the same thing over again, but in fewer steps with a lot less to write, okay? Because I'm sure we're all interested in that. So the first step here in green is going to be changing grams to moles. And I do that by taking 1 mole of lithium hydroxide equals 23.9 grams of lithium hydroxide. Okay, that is my first step. The next step then, and I'm not doing equals at all. I'm going right into another calculation, and this one, the calculation is going to be from 1 mole of lithium bromide to 1 mole of lithium hydroxide. Okay, so the reason why I did that is grams of lithium hydroxide cancel with grams of lithium hydroxide. Moles of lithium hydroxide cancel with moles of lithium hydroxide. And now I go right into my last step, and my last step looks like this. Okay, it looks like 88.8 grams of lithium bromide over 1 mole of lithium bromide. Okay, do you see how I've combined? Now I got moles of lithium bromide canceling with moles of lithium bromide, and then at the end, all I have to do then is take my 10 grams divided by 23.9 times 88.8 equals, and I get exactly the same thing, 37, and then round it off to 0.2, and that's lithium bromide. So if it's on top, I multiply like I do here. If it's on the bottom, like I do here, it's divided by. That's it. So 10 divided by 23.9 times 88.8 gives me that number. That's not so bad. So let's take a look at another one, the next one, as an example. Okay, and we're going to do exactly the same thing with the 3 steps. I'm going to put them all together in a long line so you can see how all 3 steps work. I'm going to start off with my first step that says 45 grams of ethylene, which is C2H4, all over 1, like this, times. And then my first one is going to be 1 mole of ethylene on top, like this, and then some number of grams of ethylene on the bottom, like that. Now, what's my moles of grams of ethylene? I do this here, 2 and 4 times 12.0, which equals 24.0, okay, and times 1.0 for hydrogen is 4.0 like this, so I get 28.0 grams per mole, which means 28.0 like that. Okay, that's my first step. Second step is to look at what I have. Now, what am I looking for? How many grams of carbon dioxide will be produced? So I'm going from ethylene here to carbon dioxide. Notice that ethylene, I put on the bottom 1 mole of ethylene. Why 1 mole? Because there is no, right there, there is no coefficient in front. Now, how many moles of carbon dioxide? And it should be 2 moles of carbon dioxide like that. Now, because the moles of carbon dioxide is on top, I have to put the 1 mole of carbon dioxide. Now, there's going to be a question. There's always a question. Notice that there is 1 mole when I go from moles to mass, and only 1 mole when I go from mass to moles. So it doesn't matter. The only time there's a different number other than 1 in front of moles is this middle step in the blue here where I have the coefficients. So these right here are the coefficients, and that's just like the worst word ever. Okay, so let's keep going. So what is carbon dioxide? 1 C2Os times 12.0, 12.0. Times 16.0 is 32.0. I add that up to get 44.0. So 44.0 grams of, I don't know why I did that. Here we go. Of CO2 like that equals. Okay, so here's what I do. I go right across, listen to me and follow along. I go 45 divided by 28 times 44, times 2, I forgot the 2 there, tells me the number of grams I have of carbon dioxide. So let me do that one more time here because I forgot the 2. 45 divided by 28 times 2 times 44 equals 141.4 grams of carbon dioxide. That should be rounded off to 2 places, which is 140 grams of carbon dioxide. See if you can do the next one on your own. I think there's 4 or 5 problems, so any of them that I don't do, I want you to complete. All right, ask questions if you have questions.